Hi guys, so I'm back with a new video and let's talk about 2023. Yes, I am a little bit late with this video. I planned on doing this at the end of last year, but you know the drill. I think it's still appropriate to put this one out. Also, because I had time to watch one or two films that I thought they could be in my top 10 of the year, but actually they aren't. But still, I had time to watch them. And yeah, I don't actually have a plan for this video. I have my list. As per usual, I'm going to start with the 10th spot, going up to my number one, which might be a little bit too obvious by now, but yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So let's start. So these are my top 10 of the year overall. So I'm not including just horror or just non-horror or just dramas. It's overall, which sometimes it's a bit like unfair to some movies, because you can't really compare like a horror movie with a kids film animation. But I tried to come to a list that I felt was appropriate for me, like having at the top of the list the thing that mattered to me the most was rewatchability, or like how much I enjoyed watching the film, how much it brought me joy, even though like with horror movies, they can really bring you joy. But yeah, at the top of the list, my number one thing that I wanted out of a film is entertainment. And yeah, so I tried to go with that, but obviously I had to keep in mind like cinematography and intent and yeah, all of that. So I'm starting with a horror movie actually. So in my 10th spot is Infinity Pool. So Infinity Pool came out like in January, I think, but I was only able to watch it in September at Motel X with Brandon Cronenberg there. Yeah, it's a whole thing. If you've watched my vlogs, you know that was like the movie of the festival, the one that we were all really excited about. And my first thought of the film wasn't like, I was a bit taken aback because it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. But after watching other reviews and after thinking about it, I just came to the conclusion that it is a really impactful film. Also, we did watch the director's cut, so everything was there. And I actually think it made the experience a lot better, not only watching the director's cut, but watching it with Brandon Cronenberg there, with him explaining things, and then going to his like masterclass and knowing about all the things that took place behind the scenes. That always makes me appreciate a movie a lot more. And yeah, it is a wild film. It's pretty crazy. And Mia Goth, I think I prefer this role of hers above like the X and Pearl. This one, I think I like it more. And yeah, that's why it's in my 10th spot. It was one of my most anticipated, and I'm really happy it made it into my top 10. My number 9 is a really surprising one for you and for me, actually. But this was one, like my favorite horror movie of the year for a long time. And I was talking about The Outwaters. I don't think a lot of people like this one. A lot of people liked Skinamarink more than this one, but I really enjoyed The Outwaters. It's one of the few films in my list that I did not watch at the cinema. I watched this one at home, but this was really effective. I'm not even really big into found footage films, but I don't know, something about this one. I think it's the sound design. It's really eerie. I was really into like the characters and the concept and everything in the beginning of the film. And then the film kind of takes a different approach, mostly visually. And I don't know, a lot of people complained about not being able to see much, but I think that added to all the suspense and everything. I was really immersed into the film. It was really effective for me. The like weird components and the disturbing things were like really good in my opinion. And yeah, I really enjoyed this film. As I said, it was my favorite horror movie until probably September, October, when I watched another film. And yeah, it's coming up. But I really enjoyed The Outwaters. But again, definitely not for everyone. My number 8 is one that has a really special place in my heart because of everything that led to me watching this film. And I'm talking about Saltburn. Saltburn was a film that I was really excited about. I was really bummed that I wasn't going to be able to see it here in Portugal. But then I went to Australia, I went to Sydney. As you can see in my one of my previous videos, I did a vlog review of Saltburn while I was there in Sydney. And yeah, not only the whole thing was really special to me, but the film was quite something. Again, it's another film that it's not for everyone, but it's a film that has a really interesting story. It's beautiful visually and has great performances like Barry Keoghan. It's so good. Yeah, again, it was a film that I was really excited about, and sometimes I'm scared that I won't love it as much as I want to. But again, after some thought on it, yeah, it was pretty iconic. Number 7 is another film that I reviewed. I also watched this one at Motel X, and not a lot of people have seen this one yet, which is a shame because it's a beautiful film. I loved it. And it's Tiger Stripes, another horror, it's an interesting horror. It's a coming of age, and it's pretty it's unique, yes, but it's pretty iconic with some of the themes. I really connected with this film. I think it's really relatable for girls and for women to, girls will really connect to this film, as I said in my review. So if you want to know more about the film, check out my review. But I really liked how different than what I was expecting this film was. Like, right from the beginning, I was so into it. Like, the soundtrack is really good as well, and that got me instantly into the film. And then the story, I really enjoyed the story. It's a bit sad at times, but I really enjoyed that. As I said, it's really, really relatable. Number 6, it's the only animated film I have in my list. This one isn't in anyone's list either, which I found really odd. I don't know, I really enjoyed this film. That's why it's my number 6. And I'm talking about the Super Mario Brothers film, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I don't know, I that just made me really happy. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It focused on all the aspects that I love about Super Mario. I was really into the original game when I was younger, and now I'm really into Mario Kart. So it did focus a lot on Mario Kart, which I loved. I loved the voices. Like, it was pretty obvious that like Princess Peach was Anya Taylor-Joy, but I didn't really care. I really liked what they did with it. I really enjoyed the look of the film, the songs. So yeah, it's a really happy film, and for fans of the game and the games overall, like for the fans, I think it really worked, and at least it really worked for me, and I was really happy with it. And I don't know why not a lot of people like talked about this film, and I don't know why this isn't in everyone's list, because yeah, it was definitely my favorite animated movie. Granted, I didn't really watch a lot of them, I don't think, but yeah, this was everything that I wanted it to be. Like, everything that I wanted out of a Mario film, it's in this film. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Number 5 is probably the biggest film right now, one that I think it's going to be like major in the Oscars. It just won a few Golden Globes, and I'm talking about Poor Things. I was really afraid for this film. Like, I really thought I wouldn't really love it, because Yorgos Lanthimos is a hit or miss for me. But this one is my favorite of his. I was so into it. I really liked like the story. Some people say it's a bit disturbing, and if you really think about it, it is. But I think the messages are spot on. I really liked how they handled like Emma Stone's character. Emma Stone is amazing. Again, I said this in my review, I'm gonna say it again. She has to win that Oscar, because her performance is mind-blowing. A lot of people talked about Mark Ruffalo as well. He's really good, but I think Emma Stone is just perfect. And obviously this also has like a special place in my heart, because like 50% of the film, I would say, takes place in a fictional Lisbon, and it was really interesting to see all the Portuguese jokes and Portuguese elements, and yeah, that was really fun for me. I know that won't apply to everyone. Regardless, it's a beautiful film. It's really funny. It can be a bit disturbing if you think about the plot. And yeah, I think it totally deserves all the hype that it's getting. Yeah, loved it. Number 4, it's the first film that I watched twice at the cinema this year. And I was really shocked that I loved this one as much as I did. I watched for the first time the first 2 films, I think last year or the year before, like in 2022, I think. And I had to watch the third film in like last year in 2023, before this one came out. And I'm talking about John Wick Chapter 4. I actually think I'm pretty torn between Chapter 4 and Chapter 2. Like, I don't know which one I like more, but I really enjoyed Chapter 4. I think visually it is really good. I really liked the setup, the sets as well, like where it took place, all the cities that it goes to, and the visuals, as I said, of each place. Obviously, the choreography, the camera movements, everything is so good about this film. It's like a perfect action film. And yeah, as I said, I watched it twice at the cinema. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. Now, for my top three, these three films were my films this year, and I love them. They are pretty damn different from each other. Like, one is a fantasy film, one is kind of a musical, and another one is a horror thriller. But they all have something that I love, and honestly, I didn't think I would love these three films as much as I did. So yeah, it was pretty difficult. I mean, my number one, I had no doubt it would be my number one, but my number two and number three, and even my number four, like John Wick, I was pretty torn, but I'm pretty happy with these top three. So, my number three is The Passenger. It's my favorite horror film of 2023, and for some reason, no one talked about this one. Like, everyone that I follow didn't watch this film, and I kept talking about this film to all my friends that like horror. This isn't like full-on horror, it's more of a thriller, but it has like a big opening scene that it's full-on horror, and it's quite scary because it feels really real. And I also reviewed this film, so if you want to know more, you can check it out. I don't either here or I'll leave it in the description. But this is my Kyle Gallner movie of the year. Yeah, you know, I love him and I love basically everything that he does. But in this one, I also really liked Johnny Berchtold. He was so good as Randy. At first glance, this looks like a really simple film, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized there are a ton of things about this film. You can deconstruct this film in a lot of aspects, in a lot of ways. There's so much to unpack here, and that's why, not only because of that, but also because they did like live stream Q&A on Instagram, so I wanted to rewatch the film to really get into it and ask specific questions. So I rewatched it, and on my rewatch, it was one of my favorite films of the year, so I had to include it here. Now, my number two, it would be my favorite film of the year if it wasn't for my number one, because my number one just can't be topped. I'm sorry, but this was the film that I watched the most at the theater. Actually, I just rewatched it last week for the third time at the cinema. I had to. Like, this film, I think it was my thing in 2023, and it's kind of sad that it just came out at the end of the year. But I'm talking about The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I am completely obsessed with this film. I always loved the Hunger Games franchise. I think it's the best YA franchise ever. Like, Twilight was my thing, but if I think really hard, not only on the books but also the adaptations, Hunger Games are the most consistent, and every time they're playing on TV or something and I watch them, they are really solid and they are still really good after all these years. So not only all of them have been really good and really true to the books, because I also read the books, but then this one came out, and I remember, as I said, I also have a full-on review on this one. As I said, I remember people not really being into this film or not being into the idea of this book and this film being made because they thought they would make President Snow sympathetic. And obviously, he is the main character, and in the beginning of the film, you do root for him because he's not entirely bad in the beginning. but you can see the glimpses of something. And at the end of the film, he is almost who he is like 64 years later, like in the Hunger Games films, with like Katniss and everything. So obviously you do root for him in a way, but and it's actually really interesting because they don't really make him that sympathetic, not in the movie and actually not in the book either, because after watching the film I had to read the book, and I'm planning on doing like a movie to book comparison. I will probably do that when the DVD comes out. But it is really entertaining. They stay really true to the book. The cinematography is beautiful. The songs, I love the songs. And in my first watch, I thought they were a bit too much, but on a rewatch, I just realized they aren't. Like, they are really well placed in the story. And the performances, like, I wasn't a big Rachel Zegler fan, and this film made me really like her. But Tom Blythe is just perfect as Snow. Like, his expressions, there are a lot of times where he doesn't say anything, but you can see in his face what he's trying to portray. And it's a really difficult character to portray because he has multiple layers. He's good, but he has some conflicting intentions. And yeah, it's a really difficult like thing to do, to make him good but bad at the same time. Yeah, it's something that he did so good. I don't have the words to explain. You just have to watch. If you haven't seen this film yet, please watch it. It's so worth it. And lastly, but certainly not least, you might have figured by now what my favorite film of 2023 was. It was Barbie. Like, as I said, no movie could top Barbie. I don't know, I haven't seen Barbie in a lot of people's lists either, but to me, it was the perfect film. Like, everything about it is perfect. Story, I love the story and what it touches on, and the subject matter, loved it. The performances, like, we knew Margot Robbie would be great, and I knew Ryan Gosling would be great, but can we talk about Ryan Gosling? Like, him as Ken, he was the scene stealer of the film, and there's a reason why he was nominated like for the Golden Globes, but he has been in talks a lot more than Margot, let's be honest, because his portrayal of Ken was the best thing about the film, honestly. Him and the songs, like, I love the soundtrack of that film as well. My most played songs, maybe not because I did listen to a lot of other artists, but I'm sure the songs that I've listened to the most were the Barbie soundtrack and the Hunger Games soundtrack. I love both soundtracks so much. So, my camera ran out of battery and I just need to finish my thoughts on Barbie and finish this video. So, this will have to do. I'm sorry, but as I was saying, I'm not sure where the camera cut off, but loved the soundtrack and like the visuals, the sets. They built all those sets, and that's really impressive. It's all, if not all, like 90% of the film is practical, There's not a lot of CGI as far as I'm aware of, and yeah, it's a perfect film. Like, as I said, the story, the performances, the cinematography, the songs, the message. It's a perfect film. And if you didn't like the film, I don't know how. Like, I loved it. It's perfect. Obviously, I did enjoy it a lot. And yeah, so guys, these are my top 10 of 2023. A big, like a they are really different films, and I'm really happy that I had a really eclectic top. The my top three are that I loved the most this year. So if you haven't seen the films that I've mentioned, at least watch my top three. It's three different films: a thriller, a sort of musical, and a fantasy YA film. So there's three films with different moods. And yeah, I really love all of them, but these three are my favorites, and they are films that if I haven't rewatched them yet, which I did with my top four, I'm definitely going to rewatch a lot of them. I'm already planning on rewatching Poor Things as soon as it officially comes out here. I'm also planning on rewatching Saltburn that now that it's available on Prime. And yeah, I know this is coming a little bit later than I wanted to, but I hope you still like it. Don't forget to let me know in the comments your top 10 or your top 5 or your top 3 of the year. Let me know if you haven't seen any of the films that I've mentioned, and if you are planning on watching any of them. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. My next one is going to be my most anticipated of 2024. I think that's still on time. I think most of my most anticipated films are coming out towards the end of the year. So yeah, I guess that's it. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!